bright lights.
I'm waiting for like the strobes and the music. Woohoo! All right. Thank you. Oh,
Yes.
music's
Oh, yeah.
in it,
I
right,
got it.
for Bernie. Oh, there you go. Cool. All right. And is this on? Can you hear me? Can you hear me through the microphone? It's not on yet. Okay.
All right, yeah.
I think Chuck is getting it. There we go. Right? Yes. Can you test your mic real quick, Bernie?
Hello. Yeah. Oh.
Yep, we're there. We're there. Well, Bernie, I think maybe just to start to share, I don't know if there are, I don't think that there are copies here of the book, but there's I believe there's a QR code maybe on the bulletin if people are interested in getting this. The Wolfert letters, family and friend correspondences during World War II. That you edited and translated. So I wonder if you could tell us, just to start out with, like a little backstory of how this came to be.
It's kind of a long story, and I will the highlights. Well, a long time ago, 54 years ago, I came home. I was in the Peace Corps. I came home, and I had hepatitis. I spent some time at Kathmandu Mission Hospital and Walter Reed. I came home skinny, bearded, with funny baggage. And my father picked me up at the airport, and he says, you know, there is a Dutch girl staying at our house. He says, as a matter of fact, she's sleeping in your room. And she is kind of shy, and she looks kind of funny, so be nice. And I know my dad, and it really raised my expectations. And so I walked in the door, and I fell in love instantly. Now this is, it was like I said, it was like speed dating on steroids, because her visa was about to run out. So we had to compress a lot of language and a lot of affection in that time. And so I met Corrie, and Corrie she came to the United States on a student visa in what year was it? 1960?
63, I think she said.
60, on a student visa. Now, and to visit her brothers, Simon and Ryan, who had immigrated years previously, to become farmers. While 1 year of working on a farm has changed their dreams, altered their dreams. And they became involved in migrant immigrant work while they were working in New Era region, and they decided to go to college to help. Simon became a pastor, and he ended up in Brazil with liberation theology, and Ryan became a teacher in Holland and was involved with the Latin community. And so Corrie had to leave. It was a long goodbye. And what really affected me in our story is Corrie had adopted my father. And he was honored to be, a father. And her story is heart-wrenching. It's because her father was killed, murdered, when she was 1 year old, not even. And it's for a child, we cannot ask of a child to understand why her father made those choices to risk his family and his wife's life. What as a child, you can't understand that. So while I visited in the Netherlands a month after, we talked to Corrie's mother, who was she explained about the war, and she did not become very emotional. And I said, how come you're not affected by the stories, the questions I ask? He says, I put all my faith in my Lord. I have put everything at his feet. I will meet him when I die, and he will explain it to me, and myself and my family will be in his presence. And, and her demeanor, her joy of living, and almost made me a believer. We all need something to rely, and I'm talking about this community. We share a lot of values, but how strong? And the question this morning was, are you willing to die for those values? And so did I explain?
Yeah, I think so. I'm sure there.
Not every answer is
well,
required.
as I was. Whoops, there it goes. I didn't touch it. I promise. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Steve. That's better. As I was preparing for this, as you and I were having conversations, and I was telling Andy, my husband, about this, I said, we've got about 20 minutes, and this could be a 2 or 3 hour movie with hundreds of hours of footage on the cutting room floor. So the entire story is impossible to encapsulate in this time. And please come to talk back if you're wanting to hear more. Just to put in a quick plug for that. But you said so much there, and a lot of the questions that I have are sort of echoes of the questions that you asked yourself as you were writing some notes and whatnot. And one of the ones that stood out to me when we spoke recently was, how do people prepare themselves to risk in times of trouble? What did you learn through all of this?
What I learned about Corrie's father was a pastor in a town called Marienbad. It was close to the German border, and it was the first stop, a railroad stop, the first stop in the Netherlands from Germany. Her father and mother had, before the war in the 30s, all the political refugees already came across the border, and their parsonage was right across from the railroad station, so they became involved. And her father, Peter, decided he knew what the storm was coming because of the rumors and he to prepare his congregation to face that. And first of all, it's a strong religious belief. Also, it's a community that has the trust. They trust each other. So he made it his mission to prepare the congregation, and when the time came, they were ready. Yeah. So does that answer? Or
follow up?
Well,
go ahead.
Well, on May 10th, the Germans leapfrogged the eastern defense of the Netherlands and bombed Rotterdam and the harbor complex and other cities. And within a few days, the Wehrmacht, the German forces, came across the border, and 5 days of fighting and threats to bomb other cities in the Netherlands and bomb the dikes. Well, in the Netherlands, 2/5 of the country is below sea level, the western part. So to bomb the dikes would be devastating for them. So they surrendered, and within months, the Germans had occupied. They were well prepared. All system authorities were replaced. The Queen and the government and the Dutch Navy had already evacuated or fled or whatever to England. So they had a system in place, and all the police force, all mayors were at different towns. So they were very efficient, except the churches were the only independent bodies that remained. In 1941, it was the first time that a church openly, when the Jews, the thing is, all birth registers were kept. So when the Germans came, they went through the registers and found, and the Jews were named by Jew, and their profession, their address. So they were told to leave their positions. They were not qualified, and the people in the church saw it coming. They saw that's because they had heard of the persecutions across the border. So they signed the churches, mostly Protestant, the Baptists, and a liberal, a progressive Christian church, signed the document by name, their names. So they became the target of the Germans immediately. So, and they did withstand. A lot of pastors were killed. But they withstood the times, the bad times. So, from that resistance, a national resistance developed. They were joined by the Catholic Church and by the Communist Party and by the Labour Party. And they became responsible for down pilots, Jewish families, false identity papers, and also in 1944 it became a knokploeg. It is armed resistance, to organize all the different sectors in one unit. And it became, that's about.
Mm-hmm. Well, a through line, it seems like, of what you're talking about that's come up a lot is faith, churches, God, and thinking of this community and today, and like you said in your meditation, some of the evils that we're facing. Yeah. What can we learn from how they moved through that time, especially if our point of reference is different, just different?
Well, again, a lot of people at C3 are active in the community. And that's what it takes to make changes. You have to get involved. The sad part is that, like in the Netherlands, our parents thought they were, among a large group of people risking their lives. It turns out the solid majority was really a majority. And so we can never, as a community, we have to build up enough trust and also just develop, and I mean, or to withstand. That's all I can say, because we have to trust each other. We don't face execution or anything like that yet. But hey, who knows? We can never take for granted the power of evil. So.
Yeah, that gets into it can't happen here.
Well, I mean, it would be foolish to say that, because we've been saying that about Trump. Can't happen. It can't happen. They had millions of followers. Isn't that a scary thought? Mm-hmm. To me, that is. Mm-hmm. And their language violence is their message. And I think we can oppose violence with listening, and listening for those voices that recognize recognize evil and be support. That's all we can do.
During pre-talk, there were sharing of stories of people's witness of events like this. And this book is witness to those atrocities. And it struck me that we're going to run out of witnesses, at least as living human beings. And how do we, the best way I can put it is, how do we stay horrified by what happened so that we don't fall into the trap of thinking it can't happen here or that won't happen again?
Yeah. That is a problem because people are very good at rationalizing, and taking risk is not everyone's choice. So again, I can talk about the community. Mm-hmm. I'm amazed that we have an idea, a separation of church and state, but I'm very confused that churches are not more vocal. Some believers even, our evangelical community has abandoned all kinds of common sense of vision. So I still think to build our community. That's. Mm-hmm.
We keep passing these stories on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
you want to
in the Netherlands, when I went to school in the high school, the Holocaust was a must. The history of the Holocaust was a must. Also, what was interesting in the Netherlands, schools are responsible for maintaining the graves of the liberators, the American and the Canadian cemeteries, which are immaculate. And it kind of is a way to remind you, to show the gracefulness or the value of Americans and Canadians that gave their life to save a country. And so it is still going on, right, Corrie, in the Netherlands. So you make that it's a good idea for young people to be aware of that. Well, Corrie was talking about her mother after the war took part of an exchange, German teenagers and Dutch teenagers. And I thought that it was an amazing thing for Corrie's mom, who became very involved in church, and to kind of look into the future to end hate. And also, the Dutch do not celebrate victory anymore. There's no victory celebration. They make it a Memorial Day. Because after the war, when the party was over, they realized that 120,000 Jews were removed from the Netherlands. Neighbors, friends, your butcher, tailors, teachers. Only 20,000 were saved. And it put a damper on the victory parade. So right now, well, certain governors are suppressing stories, slavery. I mean, it's foolish to do that. It's because, our memories on, we have other interests, and we have to keep that memory alive. So,
Yeah.
anything else? Did I miss it? I can go forever. But.
Well, I was going to ask just like a wrap-up question of anything anything that we didn't talk about that you really want this community to know that you feel like is important.
Well, I just I think I said that. Didn't I? Are there any other questions? So I feel very strong about this community, period. And I want to hear more about individuals and also encouragement and support. So that's...
Yeah. Thank you.
It's 20 minutes over. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a talk back,
yep.
And I do have like pamphlets and all that just to pass around, just to get it. And I want you to touch some like a newspaper that's just a leaf. I want you to touch it because it was printed on the threat of death. It was distributed with it, and it was possessed and passed on under tremendous amount of stress, and it did happen. And there's also a newspaper that was published. The Netherlands, the west part of the Netherlands was bypassed, so the eastern part of the Netherlands was liberated. And right in 1945, I want to show you a magazine that says about hate. Do not treat the Germans like the Germans treated you. And to say that right when the country is not even liberated was very courageous of a newspaper, I think, is to address that. Revenge, there's this idea of revenge.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a remarkable collection, so please do take a look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, and stay and ask Bernie questions. And thank you so much, Bernie, for sharing this.
Thank you for keeping me on track.
You're welcome. Thank you.